My name is Jocelyn Skye, and I'm really excited to be here at my first Dr. Joe event. I got into meditation and Dr. Joe's work because of my mom, who's really into all this stuff, and I'm so lucky to have her in that way. The most mind-blowing thing that I've manifested that really just came out of nowhere was my Martin guitar. And at the time I was playing on a crappy $300 Yamaha guitar that was functional for learning, and I really wanted a nicer guitar. So I didn't know a whole lot about guitars at the time, but I knew that Martin guitars were kind of the most coveted, special guitars that all the cool bluegrass musicians had and played. So I was like, I want a Martin. So I started meditating on it. And I would meditate with my mom, and we tried to do it every day. And so I would, feel myself holding the guitar, hear myself picking my favorite tunes, really hear the good tone that only Martin guitars and really good guitars make. And so around the same time, or a few weeks later, something like that, I was playing a harp gig, because I'm a harpist also, and I play with the orchestra and for weddings and events. And this was a fundraiser that I was playing for. The audience asked me if I ever write my own music. And I said, well, yeah, but it's not like the standard harp repertoire I'm playing right now. It's bluegrass music. And they said, yeah, play us a song. So I pulled out an arrangement of a song that I usually play with my band. Bluebirds on a Wire is my band, and I wrote this song called Going Away. And so I played it for the audience, and after the show, this woman approached me and she said, I think I want to give you my dad's old guitar. It's a Martin. And my brain just imploded on the spot, and I was like, oh my God. We went to pick it up, and it's gorgeous guitar. It's custom with a triple O body style, which means that it's a little bit smaller of a body style than the classic dreadnought guitars for bluegrass that are just massive. And if you're looking at me, you know that I am no giant. So this guitar is more perfect than even I could have imagined, and it's really just gorgeous. And yeah, so that's the story of my Martin guitar.
And I swear to you, when he walked into the room, I had never seen this person. It was like time stopped for a bleep. And my friend said, I think that's your day. I have been meditating for a while, and I was at Denver at my last retreat in 2021 when I experienced a really lucid moment. I was in this place where I was holding someone's hand on the beach, and I had a child with me, and I saw the face of this child. I could never forget that touch that I sensed in that hand, and I could never see its face. And I got out of meditation, and I felt like my heart was telling me that I was ready to create love in my life. And so I dived deep into the New York dating scene, and in 4 months, I think I dated about 100 people. I went from feeling insecure about it to feeling really confident. It can be very exhausting to meet people. It was at some times full of insecurity and fear of rejection and will I ever meet someone? But it was so funny that when I used to go on these dates, my heart would give me very clear signs of who's right, who's not right, and it would just speak. So as Dr. Joe says, it's a razor's edge of surrender and intention. And I feel that for me, my intention was very clear. I only wanted a conscious relationship. I had a list of 3 things. I wanted a beautiful, gorgeous man. I wanted him to be very excited about change and not afraid. And I wanted him to be a great, great chef. The rest I said to the universe, surprise me. I was totally open. And I kept walking away from situations that seemed really attractive, but the heart had said, this is not for us. And I listened. And it was really tough sometimes to walk away from men that were really, really promising. But I walked away, and it was hard. But I felt really confident that if the heart will say, this is it, then I know that that would be it. I was tired of dating, and I was like, okay, and now I stop. And I just stopped. And it was the last 12 people that I saw on the app. And I just swiped left and just let it be, and, didn't even try. And out of nowhere, one day somebody texted me from those last 12 people. And we met on a date without even trying. I was not even ready. He changed his mind at the last minute. He was not going to come to the date. And he later told me, my intuition said, if you don't go today, you'll be making a mistake. And we met, and I swear to you, when he walked into the room, I had never seen this person, and I had a friend with me. When he walked into that room, it was like time stopped for a bleep. And my friend said, I think that's your date. And we sat there for the next 4 hours, just feeling like, what just happened? Now I realize that this divine planning had been in the works since 2020 when I first got divorced. I was creating this future by constantly changing myself and constantly believing in myself. And the lucid dream was a manifestation of the change that I had already created till that time, and to keep holding on to that vision. But I had never seen in that lucid dream who the person was. But when I met my now husband, Peter, I knew very quickly I was in love, and that was different and difficult because I'm coming from a past relationship that didn't work, and so you have to work further on yourself to not let fear make choices for you, to not let any other feeling other than love speak for you. I've been now married for 2 years, and it is the really conscious relationship I really wanted. I feel like the more I overcame my own fear, the more I overcame the baggage and the trauma from the past relationship, the more I could really let my heart lead and listen to that one voice that kept saying, go in this way, while there were a lot of voices, despite their best intentions, that were saying, I don't know, he doesn't this, you don't that. But I could just cut through the noise and just listen to my heart's leadership. I believe that if you believe, behave, and become what you seek, how could you not get exactly that? And it feels incredible, and it's worth it. Just believe in yourself. Everything else works itself out.
He was at the Cancun One event, and then he had to leave and go on a business meeting. And we had a few days before we started the second, we reproduced the second event. And it was the Wednesday night. Now, we were just getting ready to start, and he sent me this text like, OMFG. I need to talk to you right away. I would not bother you unless this was big. So like I never look at my phone before I go out. I'm like, and then I say, okay. And I say, okay, call me. He says, no, I'm going to FaceTime you because I want you to see my face. Truth?
True.
Anyway, this is Robert.
So, this is one of my favorite exercises, is to dimensionalize the objects. And so, it was Cancun 2 last year. That was our third workshop. And I'm like, I really need to do something different. And I was talking to my husband, and he said, well, your client is selling his company. Maybe he's going to give you a bonus. And I said, oh, I don't want to do money. That's so crass. And he's like, no, do something. I'm like, well, how much? So we were taking a trip to Europe with our friends, and we're like, well, $10,000 would be great. I'm going to put $10,000, but it can't just be cash or a check. So I dimensionalize a wire transfer from my client on my phone, and in the meditations, I felt the phone, I felt the glass, and then even going down to the wire transfer, I could feel the raised letters. You get a connection with this. So the first object meditation.
Wait. So what he dimensionalized was on the screen of his cell phone, a transfer into his Bank of America account. That's what the image he had on there that would represent the manifestation. Are you with me still? Okay.
So we do our meditation, And we go into our object, and there's my $10,000, and I have a connection with it, and I'm radiating out, and I'm like, I'm going to get that $10,000. Something really strange happened, and the 10 turned, there was an extra zero, so it turned into $100,000. And I said, no, 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 go back. And it was a tug of war. It went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then in that first meditation, I won. So later that night, we were with our friends in the pool talking about our objects and our experience. And they're like, well, why are you arguing with it? And I'm like, $10,000 is enough. I don't need $100,000. I need $10,000. They said, you're crazy. Take the $100,000. So on Sunday, we do our object again, and I'm going to let go. I'm going to surrender. And so I have the object, I have my $100,000, and it was, especially for the people who have done the advanced workshops, you know when that moment clicks, when you know something's going to happen. What? We don't know. Still, I'm going to be happy with $10,000. So I actually had to leave right after the meditation to fly to San Diego for a meeting. And on the flight there, I thought, I'm going to continue. You guys are meditating, so I'm going to meditate. So I do.
Now listen to this. You know what he did? He said, well, it hasn't materialized yet. I'm just going to collapse more waves into particles. I'm going to put more of my intentional thought and energy directed towards it, and I'm going to feel my connection to it and observe it again, so that it begins to form more density and more particles collapse.
And you guys, I have to say something. It really is that simple. I don't know what to say other than it is that simple. If you just let go and go to that place, things happen. So I do the meditation. I get to San Diego. In the morning, every morning, my husband and I, we meditate 1 hour every day, no matter what. I got up in the morning. I did my meditation. Right after my meditation, I got a text from my client. Hey, are you free to have breakfast? And I said, oh, yeah, sure. So I go down and I have breakfast, and he said to me, I need your bank account number. And I said, why? He said, because I have a surprise for you. And I was like, yes. My $10,000. And I was like, okay, yeah. He said, you know, he sold his company. I had a chance to become an employee, and I turned it down. And he said, you know, you've always been there for us. You've helped us out, so I have a surprise for you. And I was like, mm-hmm. So this is what popped into my bank account. It was $500,000. You know, and I don't want money to be like a crass thing, but this was a fun thing. But the craziest part was when he told me that, I had no elevated reaction, and it troubled me later. And I was like, this is so crazy. Why? Yes, I'm grateful, I'm happy, but it's weird. It wasn't a big deal. And Joe said, that's because you already experienced it. You already had the chemistry in the field. You already felt it, so of course it was going to happen. So, you guys, it really is that simple.
Now, we know what he did.
Close your eyes and do the work.
You know what he did? He took a good portion of that money and he gave it away.
Yes.
You know why?
Actually,
because he said, if I created this, I should be able to do it again.
yeah.
Yes or no? And is that the consciousness of abundance? That is the consciousness of abundance.
Yeah.
Had an interesting experience with my meditation. I think it was last year. I'd done a meditation where I had the experience of bringing light energy. Well, it kind of was, it came in the form of water, so I could hear water. And I was in my meditation, and my fingers are up like this, and I just feel this stream of like a waterfall, water kind of coming down into my fingertips. And I really felt it. Like, I felt this cascading waterfall of energy just coming down and kind of coming through my arms, down into my body and just downward. Anyway, I just got out of my meditation and just got on with my day. And I had a meeting in the city in Melbourne. So I drove into a car park in a very busy street in the CBD, parked my car, and I remember grabbing a ticket and thinking, oh, this is going to cost a bit. But I thought, it's okay. And I went to my meeting, had a great meeting, came back. And so I got to the pay machine in the car park, and so I pull out my credit card and just pop my credit card into the pay machine, and it just all of a sudden just completely malfunctioned and just started spewing out $100 bills just constantly, this one after the other. So, and no 50s, no 20s, literally spewing out of the the pay machine. And so I just had this sensation where I was just standing there for a moment, and just all of these $100 bills, this money was just streaming right down, almost in the same way as it had in the morning in my meditation. And I stood there for a while, and I didn't know what to do. Because at one point I just looked down, and there's just like a whole stash of money at my feet. And I kind of froze and looked around, and there was a couple of Japanese guys waiting in line behind me to pay. So I was just standing there, and I looked down at all this money, and I looked back at them, and they looked at me, and then we all looked at the money, and I just had no idea what to do with the situation. But I just thought, well, it's not my money, and I didn't even really want it. So I grabbed my credit card back, and I popped it in the pay machine, and I paid. I got my receipt, and I went up and got my car, and I drove out. All of the money was gone, and the Japanese guys were gone. So they had a really good day. But as I was driving out of the car park, I was in a different level of mind, a different space of consciousness. I just laughed the entire way home. And it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about wanting to have the money, get the money to get staff or anything like that. The money meant nothing to me. It was like it was, I don't know, the carpet. The money meant nothing. Because I knew I had created it, and because I knew it had come from this space in me, I was just in this elevated state. And yeah, it was just awe. It was just one of the first experiences that I'd really had that was kind of, I had shifted and moved matter. And I mean, pay machines and ATMs, they don't usually malfunction. It's never happened in my lifetime. It's never happened in anyone I know's lifetime. So for me, it was one of those first profound experiences that really made me realise that, hey, I'm tapping into something here. You know, doing a meditation in the morning and I'm driving my car to work, and I feel so much ecstasy in my body, I feel like I need to pull over and call a friend. I'd never experienced that before. I'd practiced meditation and used meditation for relaxation and for mindfulness, and had great effects from that on that level, but never had these peak experiences, these profound moments, and quite often too. Yeah, there's just so many different aspects of experiences that I've had, and a lot of it is to do with this this shifting of energy in the lower centres, and this movement up and connecting into my heart. And I'm kind of at a level with it that I believe that I'm kind of around the heart, and I'm working on the throat area at the moment, and I'm kind of climbing up the back stairs a little bit here, and you know. And just it's lifetime work, I think, you know, and I think we're not necessarily only working on this lifetime, stuff from this lifetime, you know. I believe that we're also working on stuff that we cannot comprehend, that can be from way before our time. So There's a very big distinction from when I came into Joe's work, with just the really having a lot of constant realizations and moments and things like that. I mean, to drive to work and I had to call a friend when I was driving to work one day because I had so much ecstasy in my body. I didn't know what to do. I was kind of, I'm like, this is not normal. And I'm looking around at the people driving in their cars. And I mean, I've never experienced anything like that, not being on a drug and just driving to work, you know. So yeah, it's just experiencing something that's extraordinary, you know, and just after sitting and connecting with energy just in the morning, just spending that time to do that, and just that genuine interest and exploration of that for yourself, you know.
I went to the event in January in Cancun, and I always set an intention of what I want to feel in the event, and I wanted to feel worthy, worthy of receiving. So I held that intent the whole event, and when the second Cancun event rolled around, I had a different intention. The first day of the event, I came in and I wrote down what I wanted to manifest during the event, and I wrote down a big number, but I gave it no energy, no resistance, no real thought. I just wrote it down like it was like any kind of money, right? And then I flipped the page and I started writing notes. And then the second day of the event, during the second meditation, Dr. Joe did a version of tuning into new potentials, some type of version. You know, he does his own thing at the event where he mixes and mashes meditations. And I clearly remember being in meditation and Dr. Joe saying, find it, tune into it. And like my hands were out, and then I started like vibrating, right? I started like shaking and vibrating, and I'm all like, oh my God, I think I caught something. And it was like I was manifesting abundance for that. And that was the intention for that meditation. And so I went to lunch, the meditation was over. And then during lunch, I received one phone call, one email, and one text. And the grand total was $98,000, all in lunch. So it all collapsed during lunch hour, right at the exact same time. It's like I saw the email, I received the call, I saw the text, and I'm totaling everything. It's $98,000. And the day prior, I had written down on the journal, I wanted to manifest 100K. So I was shy about $1,700. And I'm like, well, it ain't too bad. You know, I don't feel too bad. I'm only shy $1,700 from 100K. But so the day progresses, and I'm shaking, and I go to a volunteer, and I say, okay, you know, I want to give my testimonial, but then I hesitate because, you know, it's like, again, I don't want to like put myself out there, talk about money or whatnot, you know. And then my husband calls me and he says that I received 2 other checks at home, and there were like some settlements, like from an insurance, and then from like, it's called progressive leasing, you know, some settlements. So I even got more money there, and I'm all like, wow, it's like, whoo, and everything collapsed right there. I guess I did tune into that potential. And just to make a really cool story short, before the event was over, I manifested $500,000 more. So I really only talk about the 98,000 because, you know, the way all the pieces that came and how it came at lunchtime after the meditation. But before the event was over, $500,000 more I manifested. So my theory is that one, I've been doing the work, and I feel worthy. I feel worthy to receive. I feel worthy. I was in a state of gratitude because, you know, it was the second day in Cancun. Cancun is gorgeous. like your heart explodes when you get there because it's so gorgeous. So I was feeling pretty good. And then I think I got really good at doing the work, on a continued basis every day. And I was able to tune in.